Okudike was a quiet village nestled among rolling green hills, where life followed a simple rhythm. The villagers were cheerful, hardworking, and above all, meat lovers. Meat was so cheap that even the poorest families could afford it daily, all thanks to John the village butcher. John's butcher shop was always stocked with fresh, tender meat. His prices were unbelievably low, and no one ever questioned how he managed to keep up with the village endless demand. But behind his warm smile and friendly greetings, John harbored a dark secret, one that would soon shake Okudike to its core. One evening, a young boy named Chidi went missing. His mother, Mama Ngozi, was frantic, searching the village for her son. But little did she know the truth lay within John's shop, hidden behind the blood-stained curtains. Chidi wasn't the first to go missing. Over the past year, at least 5 people had disappeared without a trace. The villagers murmured among themselves, blaming the thick forest or wild animals, but no one dared dig deeper. Meanwhile, John's business flourished. His shop never ran out of meat. Even when other butchers struggled, his customers were loyal, drawn by the rich flavors of his cut. John's meat tastes different, they would say, licking their fingers in satisfaction. But something sinister lurked beneath the surface. The village chief, an elderly man named Ichio Okafor, grew suspicious. Meat does not fall from the sky, he muttered one evening to his friend, Okeke. Where does John get his endless supply? That night, a group of young men decided to follow John. What they discovered sent chills down their spines. Under the cover of darkness, 3 men, Obinna, Eze, and Nnamdi, watched as John locked his shop and disappeared into the night. Curious, they sneaked inside through an open window. The butcher's shop smelled of raw meat and blood, but that was expected. What wasn't expected was the trap door beneath the wooden floor that was hidden. With trembling hands, Obinna peered it open. A rancid stench wafted up, nearly making them gag. They descended the narrow steps into a dark, cold cellar. Horror gripped them as their eyes adjusted to the dim lantern light hanging from the ceiling where human limbs, skinned torso lay on crusade wood tables. Their lifeless faces twisted in agony. A pile of bones sat in the corner, some still bearing the remains of clothing. Eze let out a strange cry, his legs buckling beneath him. John, he's been feeding us people? Before they could escape, the door creaked open. Footsteps echoed down the stairs. John had returned, Mr. John the human butcher. John looked at the entrance, his clever glittering in the lantern glow. You shouldn't have come here, he said, voice calm but menacing. Obinna lunged for the stairs, but John was faster. With a swift motion, he swung his cleaver, slicing through flesh. Nnamdi screamed as Obinna's arm dropped to the floor. Run, Eze shouted, dragging Nnamdi towards the exit. They pushed past John, blood slathering the walls as they stumbled into the street. The village was asleep, oblivious to the nightmare that has been unfolding beneath their feet for years. But by morning, that would change. The next day, Okudike awoke to chaos. News of John's secret cellar spread like wildfire. The village chief summoned a meeting, his face grim. We have been eating our own, he said, voice heavy with disgust. John's shop was raided, the evidence undeniable. Bones, skulls, bloodied clothes belonging to those who had vanished. But John himself was missing. A search party was formed, torches lighting up the dense forest as men and women scoured the land for the butcher. Some believe he had fled to the next village, while others whispered that he has gone deeper into the hills, hiding in the caves where spirits were said to dwell. As they hunted, one thing became clear. John knew the land better than anyone. He had lived among them, deceived them, fed them their own kin, And now he had vanished like a shadow in the night. But he wasn't done, not yet. Days passed, then weeks. The village tried to return to normal, but fear lingered like a dark cloud. Women clutched their children tightly, men carried weapons. Then one night, a scream shattered the silence. A farmer named Ekene, who had been keeping watch over his goats, had vanished, leaving behind only a pool of blood and a chilling message carved into a tree. Meat is meat. John was still watching and he was still hungry. Despite desperate, the villagers devised a plan. They knew John would return to his shop. It was his home, his sanctuary. That night, a young man named Emeka volunteered to be the bait. He walked alone near John's butcher's shop, pretending to be drunk. Hidden in the shadow, the village warriors waited. It worked. John emerged from the darkness, a blade in his hand. But before he could strike, the villagers pounced. A net was thrown over him, ropes tightened around his limbs. He thrashed, howling like a wild beast, but there was no escape this time. Bound and beaten, John was dragged before the village elders. His once friendly face was now a mask of madness. "Why, John?" Chief Okafor demanded. John chuckled, licking his cracked lips. "Because meat is meat," he whispered. "You all loved it. You begged for more." The villagers recoiled in horror. How many of their loved ones had they unknowingly consumed? They were done. John was tied to a tree in the village square. The people he had fed, deceived and terrorized took turns throwing stones. By nightfall, the butcher of Okudike was no more. Okudike tried to move on, but the nightmare lingered. Many swore off meat, unable to stomach the thought of what they had consumed. The butcher's shop was burned to the ground, the ashes carried away by the wind. But deep in the forest, where the hills rolled and the trees whispered secrets, a shadow lurked. Some said it was John's restless spirit. Others claimed it was something else, something older, darker. And sometimes, on moonless nights, villagers swore they could still hear his voice whispering through the wind, "Meat is meat." Is this the end? If you want to stick around for if this is the end or if there's a next part, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on this bell button to get notification bell. This is your first time or stumbling into my channel, you're highly welcome. Please invite your friends and families, and please share this video to your friends and your families. And for my returning subscribers, a big thank you. And remember, meat is meat.